All right, hey guys, we're back. So, unfortunately, we thought Snipe was having problems, but yeah, it looks like a whole bunch of other people can't host as well. So, I think our solution here is we're both gonna jump into single player mode and just cast the replay from there. Yeah, so
Yes.
hopefully that works.
All right, so I'm ready to go. I'll give us the countdown.
Got it. Yeah, please go ahead, Snipe.
All right, 3, 2, 1, go.
Got it. Awesome. So we were able to figure this out, which is quite nice.
Bit unfortunate that we had to do it this way, but at least we got it to work. So, bottom left, we have Desmond Tutu from Team Beast as the orange Zerg. And in the top right, we have Gene, also known as Jitter, Blue Protoss, from Team Supply Block.
Yeah, so I'm looking forward to the series. Even though Desmond is on my team, I've seen more games from Jitter just because by nature of casting his games. It seems like Jitter is going to be a pretty strong opponent.
Yeah, he's pretty solid. I think he's our best B teamer, I would say. So looking forward to seeing what he can bring here. I don't know if I've seen Dez play any games, maybe like a couple a long time ago, in another Brood War channel. But other than that, I don't know too much about him. So I don't know where his skill's at.
So interestingly enough, Jitter does send out his probe that built the pylon. I don't know if that's normal. I mean, I guess he wants to have the quickest possible scout so he can see and react to what Zerg is doing. But I'm pretty sure you can send the probe that's building your forge. I'm not too sure on that though.
With 11 forge, like generally, if you're gonna double scout, you send the pylon one and then you send the forge one. Being a 2-player map, you can send your forge scout. I would say it should still be fine, unless you do want to be really aware of a 5 pool or a 4, then you'll definitely scout the links coming across. What was this? Was this overpool, I guess?
Yeah, it was probably an overpool opening. There's an overlord out. So in response to this, the proper thing for Jitter to do would be to take his expansion, because he would be able to build the cannon in time, I believe.
Yeah, it looks like that's what he's doing. He's saving up the minerals. He's got enough now, so he puts down his nexus.
Interestingly enough, I think he built too many probes. When doing this, you kind of want to throw down your nexus a bit earlier, so that you can build a cannon quicker as well. But if he squeezed in a few probes, that might have delayed his timings.
And looks like Zerg didn't make, or made only 2 lings, so it's not gonna hurt him anyway.
Oh, I failed to realize this, but it looks like Jitter's probe spent so long delaying this drone that Desmond had to pick his expansion at a very suboptimal spot.
Yeah.
Okay, so the probe
Nice
finally
little
does get
trick.
chased away.
Nice probe micro delaying that hatch for a long time. So far looking good.
Yeah, I'm not sure if I agree with the placement by Desmond to put his hatchery here. If we look at the map, let me see if I can pull it up. Let's see. I don't know if it's possible to...
Handshakes.
Oh, handshakes? Yes, thank you, Snipe. Yeah, so by putting his hatchery here, it makes it extremely hard for him to defend. Because now he has to block this ramp or block this area, but also defend units coming from this this direction. So it's a bit rough. I would have expected him to maybe throw the hatchery down to the side, or maybe build it at the third. This might be too far away for him to defend effectively.
The one nice thing about having the hatchery there is the small choke. I mean, if you can get a couple sunkens up that kind of hit the choke, you can block it up.
Yeah, it's just difficult if like if one zealot gets sent over, I mean, Lings are going to have to be here to defend or here to defend this ramp, and they have to travel all this way to the third base.
Yeah, I mean, like any early zealot pressure could be hard to defend, or make you throw down some sunkens early, maybe that you don't want to. Or like, if you don't have the Zerglings ready, you can like set up a couple zealots in the choke, and just limit the surface area the Zerglings can get on them, letting the zealots trade more efficiently. So we see that Jitter is aware of this base now. He scouted it with his probe, and in response, Dez is throwing down a creep colony right away. Looks like he wants to get a sunken. Worried about some potential zealots, which we do see one coming across now.
Ooh.
Nice idea by Jitter sending out the zealot. He seeing the base here, knowing that it's far for Zerg to defend.
Yeah.
But it doesn't look like he's going to get anything done with the sunken here now.
So he did a good job paying attention. He was able to keep the drone alive. But if the zealot had noticed, it could have walked up and maybe gotten the kill. Because at that point, the zealot was dead anyway, right? So if Jitter was paying attention, he could have just tried to run in and get that last shot off.
He got one drone here at the natural.
Oh.
Another drone. I like these little zealot pop. If you have the micro to control them, especially, like it's just you're forcing Zerg to make lings instead of drones, and you're forcing him to like move his drones and stop mining. If you can use the zealots effectively, if you do that and just like don't pay attention to it, it's generally not that good.
Yeah, so really good job by Jitter using those zealots to the maximum efficiency. Behind this, he's also upgrading, teching, making Corsairs, building a citadel, whereas the Zerg kind of feels a bit behind. They've had to waste some drones to build Zerglings and more Sunkens to expand both of these locations, or to defend them.
And we see Jitter going for +1 air upgrade, so he's probably going for the +1/+1 timing attack, where you have your 8 zealots and 5 Corsairs out, attacking around 7:30. Oh, and he just lost the first Sair to a couple of Scourge. That's unfortunate.
Yeah, in general, when you're going for the +1 air, you don't want to be losing your Corsairs. You want to have, you want to build 6 or 7 and not have to build any more, because if you do reinvest in building Corsairs again, that cuts into your gas for Templars and Storm.
And those are very, very important in the matchup.
Yeah, definitely.
I didn't notice if he got an Overlord kill with the Corsair or not.
I don't know either. I didn't catch it. If
you send it out and scout the Spire is done, you're not gonna like get an Overlord kill, so it's best to just turn it around. If it's almost done and you get the Overlord kill, just run away, because the Scourge are gonna be there and killing you anytime.
So
I know I have problems with it too. So
looking at the state of the game right now, Snipe, I would say Jitter's in a really good spot. He's able to have tech on time upgrades, really good saturation at his bases compared to the Zerg.
Yeah, I mean, he's looking in a strong position right now. He's sending his zealots across. Just his +1 is maybe sending a little early. His speed finished, but his +1 is a little behind still.
I really like the SimCity by Desmond. Just by having the placement of his buildings like this, it scared off the zealots.
Yeah, there's nowhere these zealots are gonna find any damage, so he's doing really well with his SimCity. He's got Hydras out, and he's making more Lings and Scourge. I think normally you just want to be making Hydras at this point, but rather than Lings. Not sure. Maybe he was a little low on gas and a little high on minerals.
Yeah, so pretty good defense by Desmond. He's able to kind of thwart off this zealot pressure by building these Sunkens. He might have overcommitted to the defense, to be honest. I don't necessarily think he needed to invest so much to defend that initial wave of zealots. So yeah, his economy wasn't too strong, but it's definitely not much better right now.
It's a good point. Like, he has 3 Sunkens at the natural and 2 at the third base. I think he could have done with his even 1 at the third base and 1 or 2 at the natural.
Yeah, so hopefully what we see from Jitter is he transitions into mass gateways and kind of goes for the Dragoon 2-0 push, 2-0 timing. Right now he's kind of queued up a bunch of Zealots, so I don't think he'll be able to do that anytime soon. But
Yeah,
yeah,
well, we can see he just started his +2 attack. So he's still got some time before that finishes. Doesn't look like he started Dragoon range yet. I'm assuming Storm is done. I didn't see if he got it. It should be done. And he's just throwing down 8 gateways now. And just going to be able to macro up pretty heavily off 2 base.
Oh, so actually while all this is happening, Jitter just DT dropped. There's 0 overloads in the main.
Oh.
So this is going to do a ton of damage, but really good by Desmond. He noticed. And
he does notice it.
Yeah.
You got 4 drones. Looks like that's all he's going to get. Although...
Oh no! Are you joking?
Oh no, that's unfortunate.
The overloads completely missed the DT.
5, 6,
6,
7, 8. Oh, that hurts.
That's unfortunate.
Well played by Jitter though, and I like what he's doing here. He's got another DT just hiding in the base, waiting to attack later.
Very nice. Actually, it's hard to tell when is the best time to do stuff like that. But had he moved in right now, oh, he is. These drones are probably in a lot of trouble.
Yeah, again, there's no overlords here. Like, you want to split them up, have a couple, so this doesn't happen. And we got 5, 6, 7.
Yeah, so far Desmond is taking a lot of economic damage, having to run these drones back and forth, losing some here and there. Oh man.
Yeah, those 15 drone kills he got on those 2 DTs. Yeah, that really hurts the Zerg.
That is a ton of damage.
Well played. Nice move by Jitter there. And we can see he's taking his third base behind this as well. I'm really liking Jitter's position. He's got a pretty big army. He's killing a couple of buildings here to get out. I don't know if killing those buildings is...
No, I don't think... Oh, that is not a good look. He basically delayed his... he's still stuck, by the way. And his +2 timing is delayed now.
Yeah, I would have just sent a probe to mine that mineral.
Yeah. Or if he was too anxious, he could have killed the gateway, because he does have a whole bunch in his main. Yeah. But it honestly
there's only 16 minutes. It would have been better just to mine the mineral.
Right,
because
yeah.
it would have been gone by now, and he's still stuck in his base. Unfortunate. Stopped the latest +2, and that pylon that he remade still isn't powering the forge. See, he made a new pylon, and the forge is still unpowered.
Oh my goodness.
I don't know. I don't think he notices either.
Jitter's still stuck, is he not? Yeah, these Dragoons can't get out. Jitter! Oh my goodness.
So he had to kill 2 cannons and a pylon, and he delayed his +2, which still isn't upgrading. Pretty unfortunate, but he's way ahead. He's 100 supply ahead of Dez at this point, and he's taking his 4th base.
Yeah, unfortunate what he did with the forge there, but in general, yeah, really, really strong macro play from Jitter. He's able to macro up a ton of units and expand effectively behind them as well.
Yeah, he's doing the right plays. Now he's going up to 4 base while Zerg is still on 3. And he can't... Now Zerg can't really take another base either, with Jitter out on the map. Pressuring, it looks like Jitter's looking for the 4th base, and there's none to be found. His army's just kind of all over here.
Yeah, Desmond was a bit too behind and distracted, I think, from those initial DT drops. He didn't really have the opportunity to kind of sneak in or fit in a 4th base into his game plan.
So we can see Jitter now pressuring. And like he's got a maxed out army.
That was a really, really good storm.
Nice storms.
Yeah, all the Hydralisks kind of sat under it for the entire duration. Okay, so something to notice here, something different about Jitter's decision to attack into this is, oh, Desmond does GG due to the sheer difference in units, but Jitter kind of just moved in and he didn't pick off the wall, with his goons like Crane had in previous games.
Yeah. I mean, that's the safer way to play, but at this point he was ahead. It didn't make a difference. Well played by Jitter.
Yeah, pretty good games from our B teamers so far. I think play custom. Alright.
Alright, I have the next replay loaded.
Yep, I am ready as well. So whenever you're ready to count down, Snipe, let's do it.
Alright. 3, 2, 1, go.
Awesome. Alright, so this is going to be our last set of the night. Jean versus Desmond Tutu. And we have Jitter spawning as the brown Protoss in bottom right, as well as Desmond the purple Zerg in top right. Alright.
So, unlike the last PVZ we watched here, it looks like Desmond is scouting the close natural with his Overlord. Like we saw, I think it was Bayu started in this spot and he sent his Overlord across. Again, it's not necessarily wrong or anything, but this way just gives you the earlier scouting information sooner, especially because Protoss is generally going to go for the fast expand and you're going to see it right away.
Right, exactly. Yeah, because I mean, I think the key logic behind it is if you're a Zerg player and you're playing on circuit breakers, you want to be scouting with your first Overlord in a vertical fashion so that wherever you're sending it, your Overlord's going to get to the natural much quicker.
And then you'll be able to tell if your opponent's there.
Yeah.
Eliminate the possibility or see what he's doing.
And so it's definitely not a requirement. You don't have to send your Overlord this pattern every time, but it is the standard thing to do, especially on this map.
So we see an overpool again from Desmond. And Jitter playing it safe, going with the 11 Forge.
Yeah, so this is about as standard as it gets for Protoss vs Zerg. Overpool is an extremely versatile opener. They're able to defend most aggressive builds by Protoss players, while being able to have the units to defend their own expansions.
I'll replay progress bar.
Oh, thank you, Sape.
And so Jitter's throwing down the cannon first, because he hasn't scouted the Zerg's base yet. Usually when I open 11 Forge like this, I'll send the double scout, and it will scout in time to see overpool and throw down Nexus first.
Yeah, unfortunately, it looks like Jitter did scout the Zerg last, so he had to be safe and throw down that extra cannon. Otherwise, he probably would have been safe to build the Nexus a little bit quicker.
Yeah. If he had sent the second scout out, he would have seen this and been able to throw it down. But it's not too bad either way. He's still going to get all his Nexus up. He's still going to get his gateway. He's not about to die to a bunch of Lings coming into his base, so it's still fine.
Yeah, so overall, it's looking pretty standard for both our players. It looks like Desmond's setting up to build his third hatchery at the nat of top left. Yeah, so in general, this signals to me that he's going to be playing pretty defensive and probably sunkening up a lot so that he can expand and take a fast fourth behind it. That'd be my guess.
Yeah, generally I think at Zerg, if you're going to take the far natural like this, it's because you want to secure the base behind it. So it could be something more standard or a turtling style for Zerg.
Yeah, it makes sense.
If you take a closer base, it's like more of a pressure style build usually. So
yeah, so generally speaking, when you kind of take this, the far base, like you said, versus taking like a closer hatchery, in general you need to play more defensively because you've kind of split up your hatcheries so far apart. So if the Protoss decides to attack one location, it's going to be pretty difficult for you to get all your units in time and send it over to help defend.
And we'll see how Jitter wants to respond to this. Did he just scout that with the probe, or did the probe go all the way and I missed it?
I don't know if the probe made it all the way, actually. But yeah, it seems like the probe is still active on the map, trying to scout for the bases. It looks like he's going to go back to check right now. Yeah.
One of the dangers of not keeping the probe alive in your opponent's base is if he's going for like a 3-hatch Hydra or something, you won't be able to see it coming. If your probe's just wandering around, not looking for it. But it seems like he's getting, his lair, he's going for something standard. So this creep colony outside of his natural seems a bit early. I don't think there's any reason for this.
Yeah, and generally speaking, as a Zerg player, I think you can defend initial Zealot pressure with just Zerglings. So really, I mean, if you see Protoss move out and they're aggressive, you can kind of build a few Zerglings with your spare larva. Morphing this Sunken and spending a drone to build it, I think might be too big of an investment at this point in time.
Yeah, and we can see he did that as well at his third base. That's just like 2 less drones you have mining and an extra 75 plus 50, 125 minerals you spend on each of them. So that's 250 less minerals you could have had on something else and 2 less drones mining. So when you think about it, that's pretty big, especially because you don't need them this early. Protoss isn't doing anything aggressive. They're just sitting back with a few zealots, building up, teching up.
Yeah, something that can, really be useful, like a useful takeaway from this is, unless it's necessary to do something, it's almost always better to try to get away with as few defenses as possible, right?
Yeah.
Like generally in the Zerg versus Terran matchup, you want to have Sunkens only when like a critical mass of bio moves out, right? Other than that, you really don't want to spend your precious drones on building stuff like this.
Yeah, and like one way to tell is like you could have this Zergling which is now moving. If it was just sitting outside the Toss's base this whole time, you could easily see if Zealots started to move out and do any pressure, and then like, okay, he's gonna move out with a bunch of Zealots. Now it's time to get my Sunkens up. But if you don't see anything, then you don't really need to worry about throwing them down because you're not in any danger of dying to Zealot attack. It looks like Jitter's going for the +1/+1 again. Hopefully he doesn't lose these Sares, because there's a couple of Scourge flying in.
Yeah, so in general, I do want to point out for Desmond, I'm not a big fan of his SimCity so far. You want to keep your placement as tight as possible, so that Zealots have a difficult time of just running in and attacking your army. But here, his base is just so open. Zealots can kind of just stream in from both sides, really. They're not really well defended. I think typically speaking, you want to have your hatchery somewhere up here, and maybe an evolution chamber or Hydra Den, and Sunken's behind it. But yeah, this placement's a bit too open for me.
Yeah, I'd agree. And he's making like an extra colony now and a more colony over here. It just feels like he's making all this extra static D he doesn't need, and that's hurting his economy quite a bit.
Yeah, so Jinjin's timing was a bit off. He moved out, but his +1 is not done yet. Yeah, like I said before, this open positioning makes it so easy for the Zealots to just run right by. It's going to do a lot of damage.
That's what happened, yeah. So, I don't know if he's starting his +1 late or his speed early. Yeah, his +1's just about to finish up now. A little late, but that's okay.
So there's like 8 Zealots just wreaking havoc in the Zerg main right now. He should be targeting the Spire, I think. He doesn't do that, so he's not paying attention to his Zealots, and they get baited into these Sunkens. Yeah, that's a really big mistake. He could have spent, 20 seconds killing the Spire, and now it might not be enough time.
Yeah, he could have taken the Spire or the spawning pool. It looks like he's targeting the Spire now. And I mean, Dez isn't really reacting to this, so I think he's still gonna get it.
Right.
Yeah.
So
he does still
ultimately
get
it
the
worked
Spire
out.
down.
Yeah, it still worked out for him, but...
I mean, he's done a lot of damage to the Zerg here already.
Yeah, that might be too much damage. The Spire gets sniped. There's no fourth base for our Zerg. He's really, really behind. Okay.
I would have liked to see Jitter attack with those Corsairs at the same time. With the Zealots, that's the main point. Like, he can kill the Overlords while the Hydras are busy fighting off the Zealots. Or, in the case of making mutas, he can just kill off the mutas.
An entire cloud of Scourge just got taken out trying to kill a few of the Corsairs.
I think it got 1 or 2 Sairs there.
Yeah. But there's still, I think, too many Corsairs for these Mutalisks to engage. And there's definitely no chance that he can build any more anytime soon. The second Spire is only halfway finished.
And he still hasn't taken another base. Like, maybe he can't afford it. But I think generally you want to take that fourth base pretty quick if you're going to play this style. Around the time that Protoss would be taking his third, which would be around now.
So both players are also similarly kind of supply blocking themselves. The thing is, though, Jitter is 70 supply up over his opponent. So I believe, unless there's lurkers to stop any sort of aggression, this is one of those situations where the Protoss can kind of just A-move, and they should be able to take care of whatever Zerg has.
Yeah, it looks like Jitter's moving his army over here, getting ready for third base. Like he's just gonna take his third base and maybe move out. And it looks like that's what he's planning on doing here, sending a probe over now.
So the Robo is just barely finishing. In general, Protoss, I believe they want to wait for their 2-0 upgrade, as well as observers before they make a big push in the mid game.
Yeah.
So
2-0's getting pretty close to done, so the timing should be all right.
Yeah, judging from the way Jitter's playing, I think he won't be attacking anytime soon. He's just gonna sit here and keep his third, wait for his observers and the +2 upgrade before he does anything, it looks like.
You could honestly even take his fourth as soon as his third's done here. I know, like, players like Bisu used to do that, or like to do that a lot. As soon as his third is done, go and take his fourth, especially if he's got map control and he's being active with his army. The Zerg can't really do anything about it.
Yeah, at this point in time, the Zerg is really too busy kind of being defensive themselves. It's pretty unusual.
Oh, a bunch of Overlords going down.
Oh my goodness. That's pretty funny because all the Hydralisks were right there by the Overlords, but the Corsairs got a pretty good angle.
And it looks like Jitter is going and taking his fourth right away as well.
Yeah, really nice. On circuit breakers, your third base is not a gas base, so you definitely want to take this fourth as soon as possible to get access to this third gas. That'll really help out the Protoss.
Yeah, you really need that third gas for Protoss as well. Get more high Templars, be able to tech to Reavers.
Exactly, yeah. PvZ, for late game, you want really, really expensive gas-heavy units. You want Archons, you want Templar, you want Reavers. So definitely having this extra gas is going to help him make that transition into that army comp that he wants.
And we can see Jitter's almost maxed here again. He's at 180 supply. He's spending his money really well, macroing really well.
Yeah, huge supply difference between the two players. I think if Jitter attacks, he really can just end the game anytime he wants.
And it looks like that's what he's going for now. He's pushing out with his big army. He's got 2-0. He's basically maxed. He's taking a fourth base. Zerg is just now taking his fourth base as well. It seems fairly late, especially for this style.
Yeah, I mean, he was so far behind, I think, from that initial Zealot run by due to his SimCity. Yeah, I think he wasn't really in any sort of mentality of taking this base.
Oh, and there's a bunch of clumped up units. Like if Jitter just goes in and storms, it gets a couple good storms.
Oh yeah, one fat storm right here. I think he stormed the Sunkens first, but
yeah,
he ultimately did the right storm.
Yeah.
Yeah, at this point, all of the units behind this wall were just sitting ducks for Jitter storms, unfortunately. All right, I think that makes it a pretty convincing 2-0 from Jitter. He played really well, macroed very strong, and took advantage of the Zerg's improper sim.
Yeah. I mean, all the games we watched today were all 2-0s, one way or the other. Team Supply Block ended up taking that 3-1 for the B teamers. Yay, go team!
Yeah, very nice. Well, we do have to point out too that probably in the B team, that's where you're going to see the biggest variance in skill levels. We have players that can be considered 0 MMR versus players that go up to the very limit, 1600. So yeah, I think having all our games casted today end up as 2-0s really does go to show that the B team it's a huge melting pot of players of all sorts of levels.
That's not to say you can't still get a win with a well-prepared strategy or something cheeky, but in general, yeah, I would agree.
Yeah, definitely. That's what I like so much about the CPL format. At the start of the week, you have a whole week to play your matches. You have a bunch of time to prepare for your opponent because you know their race and you generally know their skill level.
Yeah.
So with preparation, you might have a good shot at taking down somebody.
And it gives you a lot of flexibility with timing because we have people from all over the world, so not everyone can make certain times. We just like to give people a lot of flexibility that way and time to prepare and practice certain matchups or certain maps and everything.